All right, so let's talk about how to set next month's goals. So why are each of these things important? Let's start there. So why is profit important? Profit is important because you are in a business, my friend. And so you want to, every single month, subtract your expenses from your commissions and make sure that you are on track to reach your profit goals. This is going to help you to drive your behavior and make wise investments. Overall sales volume. This is important so you know how much your team is selling overall. Now, for some of you that are at larger ranks, you may think that doesn't matter until you start tracking it, and it's really, really fun to see what kind of legacy you are creating with your business. Certainly, it's important to do even if you're at higher levels because we want a role model for those of our team members we're coaching that that do really need to track this, and it's really important. Number of new customers, so that's how many new customers you are acquiring as an entire team and organization. Now, for some of you that have really, really deep teams, you may want to just count this for your first several levels. That's up to you. But overall, your team new customers. The number of team members with 4 or more new customers is important because this shows the health of your recruiting engine, and it also makes sure that people are being successful. If people are not enrolling like 4 people or 5 people a month, and their business is likely growing stagnant. And certainly in everyone's business, you should have at least one person in this category, which is you. Then you'll go to your personal goals. So you have sales volume, new customers. Team members launched. The definition of this are team members that you have recruited. They're trained and they went out and made their first sale. Since this is your personal number, I would say that these are people that you have personally recruited. If you want to count relaunches for someone that has been not working for a really long time, that's up to you. We want to just make sure that we're consistently launching team members each week. And then the number of referrals comes down to lead generation. So if you're getting personal referrals, like we teach in our Direct Sales Foundation course, if you have someone that invites 20 people to a party or a class or some sort of group thing, then you would count that as 20 because that just shows that you're consistently, generating new leads. From the appointment setting, what you want to do is you want to take all these things and whittle them down into the number of appointments you're doing. So here is a really simple way to go about figuring out how many appointments you're scheduling in the course of a month or week. So a good idea is to say, okay, so I'm working 20 hours a week, divide that in 2, you can probably do 10 appointments. Half of those would be for customers and retention, the other half would be for recruiting and coaching. So that's how you can allocate that, and then you can multiply it out for a month. And so why I have this in the monthly and the weekly is because let's say you're taking a week off. Well, friend, you are working on commission, so you may do a couple things. You may lower your overall monthly goals because you'll be off for a week, or you might keep them and that's going to impact your weekly goals. You might raise them a little bit for the 3 weeks you're working versus the 1 week that you're not. So having a monthly goal is super helpful, and this is going to be great for when you go to reflect later. Now, when you go into the action items and areas of focus, these are the things that you really want to focus on, the actions you're going to take in order to reach these goals at the end of the month. Potential obstacles, this is important because there are going to be obstacles. So start to think through these before so that you can make a plan to work around them. The more you can anticipate obstacles and objections and things that are going to stand in your success, then you can make plans to be successful despite them or around them, or use them as just, ways to, stepping stones really. And then last is the skills that you're trying to develop. Now you can choose one. I wouldn't recommend really focusing on more than one as far as a goal. Now you might be going through a training program, like if you're going through your leadership foundation in 1 month, you'll be exposed to 3 or 4 different skills. This particular section is not what are you going to be exposed to, but what are you going to really focus on mastering on that month. I think that most people can handle 1 sales, 1 and 1 leadership. So you could be focusing on referrals while simultaneously in your coaching calls working on maybe some of helping your team goal set. And I think that that would be okay. Now, before you just start going forward and making your monthly plan, I jotted down some goal setting mistakes and some goal setting best practices for you. So you can jot these down. First goal setting mistake, not doing it. Fear around goal setting. Number 2, not referring back to track progress. I had some clients have to put in their phone an alert that said halfway through the month that says, "Hey, dummy, are you actually on track or are you a failure?" Because if you don't look at your goals and track against them every couple of weeks, then you might just be caught up in the "I wish I could be doing better," but when you're actually on track to reach your goals. The third mistake is the opposite, staring at them too much. Don't look at your revenue goals every single day. Figure out how many appointments you need to do, go do the appointments, and check in on a weekly basis. And the fourth mistake is to make your goals your identity. They are not your identity. Goals are a tool to help you know how much activity you need to make, to also troubleshoot if you don't reach them so that you can continue to move forward in your business. It's just like the score on a sporting event, right? It helps you to know at the end of the first quarter if you need to make adjustments or not, or what you're doing well and what you're not doing well, what you need to continue to do. And that's why the score is important. So don't look at it as your identity. Some goal setting best practices. Number 1, be consistent. It's going to take about 3 months to calibrate. So the first month you might set goals. You may crush them. You may be really low. Just keep planning and reflecting the way it's set up. The second month you'll get closer, and by the third month you'll be a lot more calibrated with your goal setting. Goal setting and achieving, just like anything else, is a skill. It's not something you are or aren't. Second goal setting best practice, use the team and personal goals to spit out the appointments. Circle the times in your planner for the appointments and get them filled. The magic happens when you're in appointments. Number 3, focus on controllables. You may notice that I didn't put things like rank on this or things like that. We'll talk about that in a later video. But really focus on the things you can control versus the things you can't control when you're going and setting your goals. And then the fourth tip, and this may be helpful for a lot of you, is instead of having just one goal, you could do a low, medium, and high goal. The low goal is at least I'm not a loser goal. Middle is like this would feel really good, and high is this if everything went well. And so for me, I'm kind of a wimpy goal setter. I get freaked out by high goals. So when I do low, medium, high, I just try to get to the low as quickly as possible. And when I do that, I end up hitting the high half the time. And so that's a good tool that I think will help you. So yeah, there we go. That's this monthly plan. I know this video was a little bit longer, but I hope it was super, super helpful for you. And I will see you in the next video.